Oh no! Look out! It's Godzilla! We need to leave the city.
Maybe you've seen VTubers having this problem, and maybe you are a VTuber that has this issue. The mouth just doesn't work right, doesn't look right, it looks off, or maybe you're having troubles and not even having your mouth move at all. Well, we're going to go over the easy solutions to fix that, and it doesn't need any skill in animating or art to fix it. Very simple solutions, this time in the Madworx. And hello everyone! Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Into the Madworx. Today we're going over the mouth issues that a lot of VTubers have, myself especially. Right? Get my stuff! Yeah, so these are very easy to fix solutions. We're going to go over them. There's a series of them, but you don't need to have access to your model's files to really do it. It's going to be very simple. We're going to cover all the things that cause issues and solutions and basically just look at how to solve these problems of what's going on. So these are the problems that we're going to go over. Vtube Studio, camera position and lighting, camera type, Vbridger, audio sync, system lag, and facial movement. So Vtube Studio is probably the most prevalent and most likely the problem for most people with bad facial movements. And the problem is that they haven't really worked with Vtube Studio to make sure that their model and their own facial recognition with their webcam and stuff are tight knit. This is like form fitting for your model. So you can see the output, the input, and smoothing here. These are the three most important things you should consider when looking at Vtube Studio if you haven't figured this stuff out already. Now your output is just the animation amount, so you probably don't need to touch that. The animator's already dealt with that, so that's what you're working with. The input is your controls, or your own facial recognition to translate to those animations. The bottom number is when it starts, the top number is when it ends, but that doesn't mean it ends, it means it's when it reaches 100% for the animation. So if you increase the bottom number and decrease the top number, that area in between is where that 100% of the animation will go. You can see in my mouth open, I have a very reduced top and a slightly reduced bottom. So my mouth isn't just opening so quickly when I'm not moving it so much, but also reaches the top of mouth open a lot sooner. Now I use Vbridger, so being a smaller number for mouth open isn't as impactful as it would if you don't use Vbridger. We'll go over that later. And the final thing is smoothing. Smoothing basically means that your animation will be more smooth, but it also kind of slows it down and merges the animations together. Now you will see with my eyes, they dart around a lot. This is because I have very low smoothness with my eyes, and that helps a lot for my style. But if you want to look more calm and easygoing, smoothing can help, but it will slow things down and make it get to the end a lot slower. But if you haven't touched Vtube Studio, that's a good sign that's your major problem. It's probably the most prevalent. A lot of people don't do enough work in here. And this is just basically making you and your model just mesh better together by working on these parameters based on how your webcam detects you and how your own face works. Camera positioning and lighting. Now this is a problem that I deal with a lot of times, and I've tried out some issues with it, and I know a bit about it because, well, I've had it happen to me a few times in a lot of streams and stuff. Now, so your camera, where it's positioned, has to see your face, your mouth. And so if you have it in a different position, like I have mine up pretty high, so it has trouble to see my mouth if I lean forward. So if you lean forward, not only is your mouth obscured sooner, your nose can also get in the way and prevent proper tracking. So that can cause an issue. Also, your camera is dependent on seeing your face. That means light must bounce off of it. So if you're in a dark room with the only illumination being your computer screen and your phone or webcam or whatever, or nothing at all, your face will not be picked up by the software and the webcam as much as otherwise. So the lighting can also hamper its ability to see your face moving, when it's moving, how it's moving, and detect everything. So you have to be wary of where your camera is. If it's in a good position to see your mouth at all times, it will work a lot better. If you go out of the, you walk too far to the side or move out of the way or, tilt your head down, your camera will not see you, and that will cause a lot of issues. So you have to think about where you are. The solution for a lot of stuff is to sit in a position where your mouth can always be seen, know where your camera is, and keep your mouth in a visible range while also keeping your room well lit so that your camera can detect you properly. The other problem you might have is your camera itself. So the camera. We all know and understand this. What if your web camera is not to the best that it can be? That can be a problem. So you might want to look into the camera and make sure you're using a good quality camera that's not got problems. You could also check your camera. I mean, what if your lens is fogged up or has some other problems, keeping you from being seen properly by the camera and detecting your facial movements? Also, what if you're using the wrong style of face movement with the wrong camera? So let's say you're using Vbridger, but using a webcam. It might not be the best choice. There's certain things it can do, but it still might be sluggish and off. So you need to look into that as well. So Vbridger can also be a way to get out of a bad face movement. My face movement wasn't that great when I started. I didn't understand what I was doing with it. But I eventually just upgraded to Vbridger because I have an iPhone. It's a better kind of web camera for a lot of stuff, but because I'm using that with Vbridger, I'm able to do a lot more. But if I was using just a basic web camera, I might have some jittery off movements trying to use Vbridger, and it just doesn't work with that. And you need certain plugins to work with it too, so consider everything and look and make sure that you have the right web camera as well as doing the right style for your face. There's other techniques to go around some other issues, but just make sure you're using the right stuff and make sure it's not having any problems and is nice and cleaned off camera area. Otherwise, you may be missing out on some quality and having weird facial movements. Audio syncing. Now, this is a very important thing that I notice with a lot of people having issues because they don't consider it. But for me, I found out early on, and thank God I did, because man, it looks off when you don't do it right. So the animations of my model are half a second delayed. So that means when my audio is on key and the videos that I'm playing games with and stuff is on key and the audio is on key, everything looks off. It's the Godzilla effect for most of the stuff. So what I've done is I've delayed most of my outputs, my audio, my game video, and my game audio, my computer audio entirely. Everything except for my model's animations are delayed by half a second. So when you have a model here, you're going to have your web camera is going to detect your facial movements. It's going to send those facial movements to the program. The program's going to figure that out, figure out what animations have to do. Go to this, go to that, this and that, this and that. It's going to have a relay. And so there's so much going on that by the time your animation finally kicks in and your mouth moves, it's been half a second. So it's a little delayed and stuff. Now you're always constantly moving and stuff, but basically from the moment you act until the moment your model acts, it's about half a second. So I tweak that based on your computer and your other things, but you can do this in things like recording software like OBS, and that's what I do it in. All of my stuff is delayed by half a second. This allows everything to work properly, because otherwise I'd have drastic issues and my mouth would not look correctly. Nobody wants the Godzilla effect. We want it to look like we are live and not dubbed. So audio syncing is a very, very important thing to consider to make sure that your mouth doesn't look weird. System lag. Now this is going to happen because you're playing games that are a little too strong for your computer to do everything else on the same computer with. So like, let's say you're playing a high-end game. Let's say Helldivers, right? That game's having a lot of trouble anyways because it's just got so much duplicated data in it. Lots of problems with that game now. But let's say you're doing that. Then you also have your web camera, your Vtube Studio, and your streaming software running simultaneously, and maybe some background services that might be, so you're watching your streams on Firefox or something, I don't know. You have all these things running simultaneously and your computer hits max load. Now all of a sudden, your model's not even making hardly any movements. Sometimes the face moves, sometimes it doesn't. So it goes with your system can cause you a lot of problems. So if you are having system lag issues, and make sure you check your CPU when you're gaming and streaming together with VTubing and everything else, you might have to not VTube while you're playing the game sometimes, or maybe stream a simpler game. There's a lot of games out there with low cost now. Retro's the in kind of nowadays, but a lot of those in games, they are absolute system hogs and will stop your model from moving accordingly. So yeah, the solution for that could be having a second computer for the streaming and one for the gaming, and that's what a lot of high-end people do. I don't do it, so I've got to watch out. I can't stream a lot of the high-end games I play because of that. My computer cannot quite handle it. It's getting old. It's getting issues. But if I ever got a second computer, I could use one to stream and one to play games with, and that would be the best solution for it. But otherwise, just play simpler games, guys, and you shouldn't have as much issue with system lag then, you know? And our final area to cover, facial movements. And I'm not talking about your model. I'm talking about you. You, the controller, the person who runs the model. Your model is a marionette, and you are controlling the strings, and the strings are your own face. I mean, come on, if you're mumbling and you're just kind of, talking a little bit about it, you're not going to be seen. Your camera will not detect it, and it's not going to look well. You are basically a cartoon character, so act like one. Be exaggerated. Make sure your movements, your actions, your mouth, everything is seen wide and well, and that will help it a lot more. If you're still having difficulty, go back to our first area and work with Vtube Studio. But for the most part, you still need to be more pronounced and animated, or else there's not going to be much detection about your face and movement. So make sure that you, the person behind the VTube, the actual VTuber, are animated and alive, boisterous, and well pronounced in action, so that you are able to, well, have your mouth and everything else to be seen just the way it is, instead of quiet and mumbling and not very much. You want to be there and alive. All right, so final thoughts. Here's a lot of stuff that we've already done and gone through, but there's even more than I listed. There's things that I didn't even go over that I've only recently learned about, such as working with the sensitivity of your web camera in Vtube Studio. There's a lot you can actually go more deeper in to improve your mouse sensitivities and detection based on the style and way that you're doing the VTubing and collecting the data for your face and your web camera and your model, all that stuff. There's so much. So if you have any difficulties or questions, leave a comment about them, discuss them. I'm sure there's more than just me that can help you with that stuff. There's a lot of ways to troubleshoot and fix this stuff, but there's so much out there. There's so much that can go wrong, and, well, will go wrong, but overcoming it makes you better at that regard more than you were before. And even more than that, think about this. If you are better at figuring out these problems with your model, you might also end up fine-tuning your model to look even better, more responsive, more alive. And that's what this is all about, improving you to the maximum that you can be. So that's all I really have right now for mouth difficulties and problems. Next week, we'll probably go over something much more simple and, well, that doesn't require me to make 12 hours of editing and everything else to get the video ready. So expect something a lot more simple next week. But we will continue this every week and Thursdays, and I will see you all next time. So until then, everyone.